soldiers, yeah? You sold yours to Spotify to make rent, bro.
He got Manchester United's backside, slapped them in two different Champions League finals.
The Premier League is the best league in the world. Not if these guys have anything to say about it. 3 Premier League fans versus 3 Premier League haters. Come on! Woo! The current Premier League best 11 clears any other league.
Yeah, it's facts. I don't think it's even up for debate right now. I'll start off in goal. One of the best goalkeepers in the world came to the Premier League, Gianluigi Donnarumma. Alisson, who was one of the best goalkeepers for a number of years, is still in the Premier League right now as well. If you want to go to the spine of the defence, arguably, you could say the best centre-back partnership in world football right now exists in the Premier League with Gabriel and Saliba. And if you want to talk about one of the greatest centre-backs of all time, he's also still playing in the Premier League, Virgil van Dijk. Let's move on to the midfield. Arguably, again, the best midfielder in the world right now, Declan Rice, who's been getting Ballon d'Or shots, which I do think is crazy, but he is up there. And if you don't want to go with Declan Rice, you can go with Caicedo, another one in this position. And if you want to talk about number 10s, we have the best number 10 in the world right now in Bruno Fernandes. I mean, do I even need to argue about one of the most prolific strikers we've ever seen, and he's not even reached the heights that we think he'll reach in Erling Haaland?
If we're going to go for goalkeeper, we're going to be going for the best goalkeeper in the world. Won several Champions Leagues with Real Madrid. It's Thibaut Courtois against Liverpool in a Champions League final. When was the last time we've seen a goalkeeper win a man of the match performance in a Champions League final? Thibaut Courtois clears. Right back and left back, we're going to go with Achraf Hakimi and Nuno Mendes. Possibly, you could argue they could go down as the best fullback pairing ever in the history of the sport.
Crazy.
And when you're going into the midfield, we got 3 midfielders that are better than any of the midfielders you brought up. Vitinha finished 3rd in the Ballon d'Or, if I'm not mistaken. Pedri, the best midfielder in the world, and we've also got Jude Bellingham. On the right, we got Lamine Yamal, the best player in the world. Up top, you can play, you choose for me, Ousmane Dembele, the Ballon d'Or winner, Kylian Mbappe, Harry Kane, and on the left, we got Rafinha.
What do you think about their team?
Their team is very good. I'd agree personally with the goalkeeper, even though it's arguable with Donnarumma and Alisson, and the fullbacks. The winger, you can have Lamine Yamal. But like I said, if you're talking about combined 11, when you put out 2 11s in a football team, the most talked about thing is the spine of a football team, okay? The most success is brought through a spine of a football team. The Premier League has the best spine in the entire world right now. The best centre-backs, what's the most important thing? 2 better centre-backs, better number 6. We have the best DM in the entire world, Declan Rice.
Vitinha finished above him in the Ballon d'Or. They came up against each other in the Champions League semi-final. Who won?
Bro, because he had the overall better midfield. He had João Neves and he had Fabian Ruiz. You want to talk about Real Madrid and the best goalkeeper in the world? Declan Rice wrapped 2 free kicks against the best goalkeeper in the world at the Emirates. And by the way, that wasn't even his best performance. His better performance actually came at the Bernabeu in Spain, where he went there, he bossed the game, he dominated, and he won man of match in both games. You want to talk about Barcelona? Caicedo, again, an unbelievable performance against your Barcelona.
They just taken one of games in October and they're saying, oh, the rest of the teams are Farmers League. But when you guys came up against, like I said, Arsenal, the best team from the Premier League, yeah, you guys lost to PSG in the Champions League semi-final. Liverpool, who are the Premier League champions, lost to PSG. And I could keep on going on. All these teams, all your teams in the Champions League, when they come up against our teams in other teams in the Champions League, you guys lose.
But how many teams in the Premier League were in the top 8 in the Champions League?
Arsenal, obviously, top in the Premier League, top in the Champions League group stages as well. You even let Tottenham Hotspur, by the way, get into the top 8. Top 8. By the way, last season, Europa League, yeah, you let 2 teams that were 15th and 17th respectively in their leagues, in the Premier League, by the way, get to European final. Chelsea won the Conference League, English team. Man City have been get to Champions League finals. Liverpool get to Champions League finals. Arsenal are making it far.
Who was the final 4 in the Champions League last season? 1 La Liga team, 1 Serie A team, 1 Premier League team, 1 Ligue 1 team. Just 1 Premier League team. For supposedly the best league in the world, only 1 qualified to the best competition in the world.
Who won it?
PSG.
And who beat them in the Club World Cup in the finals?
Oh, no. We're gonna scrap that there. Comment down below which league you think is better. Next round, the Premier League gets unfairly treated at the Ballon d'Or.
Let's start from 2019, the year Van Dijk came second, yeah? Messi won that Ballon d'Or. Van Dijk, UEFA Player of the Year, PFA Player of the Year, PFA Players Player of the Year. That same season, 99 points, Champions League, and 21 clean sheets for Liverpool, yeah? He lost that against Messi. It's a down season for Messi. Messi also won the La Liga and Copa del Rey double. But that was the first La Liga without Ronaldo. So he won that on 86 points, cleared Madrid by 20 points. For me personally, if we're talking about individual stats, individual honours, what Van Dijk did, especially as a centre-back, he had no reason not to win that. That Champions League Van Dijk won, he went up against Barcelona and Messi, he shut them out at Anfield to beat them 4-0 and to come back on the second leg and then to win that. For me, I don't understand how, for me, he did not win in that Champions League. And again, I also feel like the narrative around Ballon d'Ors changes. Sometimes it's storylines, sometimes it's individual honours, sometimes it's international accolades, because you don't want to go to 2022. Benzema won it, and I think Benzema had an absolutely exceptional year. He scored like 42 goals in 44 games. Champions League, La Liga, the best player in that. Mane and De Bruyne, who came second and third. What? De Bruyne.
Hold on.
Let me finish. De Bruyne won PFA Player of the Year, got his best goals and assist tally for Man City. Mane was 2 games away from the quad. Champions League final, the domestic cup double, got Senegal to their World Cup, and also won AFCON. And then, but do you know what they said? Champions League is what matters, and because Benzema was great in the Champions League and he got the league, we'll do that. So Haaland said the next year, do you know what? Now I know what the blueprint is. I have to win my domestic league and I have to win the Champions League. So Haaland said, you know what? Forget 42 in 46. I'm going to score 52 goals in 53 games. I'm going to then win the treble and Man City's first ever Champions League. I must win the Ballon d'Or. There's nothing more. But they said, you know what, Messi, you didn't really have a great league season, but you won a World Cup. So we're going to give you that.
Brother, you had me in the first half, bro. Hey, you had me in the first half of Benzema, bro.
So how many Ballon d'Ors should Ronaldo and Messi should have won?
A lot of them. That's why I didn't even speak about so many of Ronaldo's years. But the Messi one, Van Dijk should have beaten him for that. And Haaland, he should have beaten him for that year. So, but the rest, that's why I've not argued. But the 4 in the last 8 years is what I think easily Premier League's been unfairly treated.
So we're talking about getting treated unfairly. And what's about 2013? There were Messi, Ronaldo and Ribéry. Okay, we get Messi and Ronaldo at the side. Ribéry had such a great season, but he didn't win the Ballon d'Or because Messi scored 91 goals. That's insane. And what about 2021? Lewandowski scored 41 goals in the Bundesliga, and he was such a great player. He won 6 titles, but he didn't win the Ballon d'Or.
Yeah, but you're going off a Ballon d'Or that didn't take place. We can't control that. And that's one example in your history. I've just given you 4 in the last 8 years. That's more than one.
No, but tell me why, the 4 that he just named, tell me why them players deserve it.
Lionel Messi's 2018-2019 season, you could argue that was his best version. He was more well-rounded. He was doing everything on the pitch for Barcelona. When you look at his midfield, he had Rakitic, Busquets and Vidal. Where's the creativity in the midfield? He had to create everything. He had to score everything. We only won, 3-0 against Liverpool because of Lionel Messi. So Virgil van Dijk actually conceded 3 goals. When you talked about they came up against each other, he conceded 3 goals at the Camp Nou. In the return leg, it wasn't Virgil van Dijk that won you the game. It was from our mistakes. Divock Origi, Trent Alexander-Arnold's quick corner. Every single year, the Ballon d'Or is mainly based on the biggest trophy during that year. So normally it's Champions Leagues, right? But so explain to me why Rodri won the Ballon d'Or over Vinicius Jr. in the two.
That's good you mentioned that, because when we finally won a Premier League Ballon d'Or, when Rodri brought that home, Real Madrid, they all cried like babies. They boycotted the whole thing, and they didn't even get sanctioned.
You're saying Vinny should have won it because he won Champions League?
I'm asking, why did Rodri win it over Vinny? What was the main reason for that?
Well, clearly the Champions doesn't mean much because Van Dijk and Haaland both won Champions League and didn't win.
Let's get Bradz here and let's get Wolus here. Seems that you two want to argue this out. Why don't you both sit here?
Imagine a defensive midfielder getting player of the tournament at the Euros. Not just that though. Not just that. Yeah, Vinicius, a winger, attacking winger. He was one of the main sources of goals and assists in that season. And Rodri only got 7 GAs less than him in defensive midfielder.
Rodri won the Ballon d'Or because he won the Euros. He was not even in the conversation of the Ballon d'Or at all before the Euros. Secondly, he wasn't even the best player for Spain. He wasn't even the second best player for Spain. You could argue he wasn't even third. He got subbed off in the finals. Zubimendi came on in the second half against England. He didn't even look like Rodri got subbed off, yeah? So let me say, he didn't even deserve to win the best player of the year. Fabian Ruiz and Lamine Yamal deserved it over him.
And you know what? People love to say this Fabian Ruiz is the second best player, but I personally, I watched every single Spain game and I think Nico Williams was better than Fabian Ruiz.
We're gonna end it there. Comment down below your thoughts on this. Drop a like, subscribe, have the notification bell turned on so you're notified when we upload. This ride is done. Premier League clubs should be embarrassed by their record in Europe.
I think you definitely should be not even embarrassed, ashamed, because you've got the biggest expectation in the world. So everyone goes, the Premier League club is the best league in the world. If you're the best league in the world, you should surely dominate it. The fact that English teams have got 50 trophies in European competition, same as Italy, and even though we're referred as the Farmers League, Spain's got 67 trophies compared to you guys. Real Madrid, Sevilla in Europa League, Real Madrid in Champions League. My argument is the fact that it's not specifically the teams and how you should be, like each team should be embarrassed. It's more about the expectation that there is that a Premier League club would essentially bring.
My first thing is, I think obviously the title about like the Farmers League with you guys has come a lot in recent history, maybe in the last 15 to 20 years. A lot of what you've done previously, no one was calling AC Milan and the Juve's teams in the early 2000s Farmers League, and that Bayern Munich, that obviously when the sextuple had the Lams, Schweinsteigers, none of them were calling them just Farmers League. The Farmers League quote-unquote title that you've come from has been in the last few or so years where Bayern Munich have won, I think, 7 or 8 in a row. Obviously PSG has won back to back a lot in a row, and they've been the most dominant team over seasons. I personally would be embarrassed if 2 teams in their domestic leagues finished 15th and 16th and both made the European final. That's what I would call embarrassed. Ooh. And that is what, of course, Spurs and Man United did last year. For me, that is an embarrassment. I'd also say the Conference League, a league that actually gave a lot of teams a chance to, you know what, let's give you another tournament that gives more exposure to the lower teams. But again, a juggernaut in Chelsea, who again are not a juggernaut in the Premier League, they came and flexed and won that. Even West Ham, lowly West Ham, big up the Irons though.
You might go down this season.
Who may go down this season, had just come from winning Europa tournament a few seasons before, and then again kind of the record in it. City have won the Champions League in the last 5 years. Chelsea have won the Champions League in the last 6 years. Liverpool have won one. They've been to 3 in total. We also have 5 spots in our league that gets us Champions League, and that's due to the coefficient, which means we've had to have played good in Europe and get far in Europe to be able to get those spots. So my question, why should we embarrass?
27 times since 2001, a Spanish team and an English team have come up against each other in a European final. 27 times. Tell me how many times a Premier League team have won. 0. 0 times. You guys have won 0 times against the Spanish team. The last time they broke that record when Chelsea beat Real Betis in the Conference League.
So it's not 0 times.
27 times in between. You guys just beat our first one was Chelsea versus Real Betis. When you want to compare Champions League titles, we've got 11 since 2000. You guys have 6 since 2000.
But is that's also to do with bias as well?
What bias?
We've seen many questionable games.
Oh, yeah. Hey, 150 charges, yeah?
Hey, let's get rid of this.
When we've come up in finals against each other, it's not gone our way. However, I would like to say in recent years, English teams, especially in Europe, have gone further, not just by the way the top clubs, but the, let's say, lesser teams, the mid-table clubs, Newcastle, Aston Villa, West Ham. Let's go over to Italy, one of the most dominant teams of all time, Juventus. How many league titles they win in a row? 9 league titles, am I right?
Yeah, 8, 9.
So Antonio Conte won 9 league titles in a row. His Champions League record is one of the most embarrassing records for one of the supposed greatest managers to ever manage in Serie A. How can you win 9 Scudettos in a row? But if you go back and look at his Champions League record, he got schooled probably every single time.
I understand you said about 8, 9 times Conte's won Scudetto, but at the end of the day, with the Champions League, obviously with the old format, 32 best European team, you can't expect a dominant team to win every single time. Look at Real Madrid. Real Madrid is probably the most dominant anyway. So how could Juventus, especially a team like Juventus at that peak era, could compete against that Real Madrid? Especially 2017 Real Madrid, they were just way too good.
Man City have been the best team in the Premier League. You can argue that for the last 10 years.
4 in a row.
Four Premier Leagues in a row. But guess what? They've only won 1 Champions League.
For example, let's take 22-23, right? You guys won the Champions League, okay? But there was, in the semi-finals, there was about 2-3 Premier League teams in all European competition. There was 9 Serie A only teams. And that is including Fiorentina, which, where are they right now? So it's like, you can talk about West Ham, for example. Yeah, they won a Conference League. Or you can talk about Roma. Roma don't win anything. Roma are a big club, don't get me wrong, but they don't win anything.
Is the Premier League an embarrassment? Comment down below your thoughts. Premier League derbies are the best in the world.
I disagree, because even if in the German third tier, every game has a better atmosphere than the Premier League. I was ashamed the first time I was at the Premier League match. I was ashamed of the atmosphere. Manchester United against Manchester City. really. I was ashamed. Really, we have that atmosphere in the third tier in Germany. And then we have Galatasaray against Fenerbahce. We have Boca Juniors against River Plate.
Barcelona, Espanyol. Why are you laughing?
Bro, we can even start from the bottom. I'll start with the A406 M25 derby with the Brighton versus Crystal Palace, bro. The Amex Stadium, I promise you, has no noise. But when Crystal Palace come round, it gets long. You want to move up, for example. Chelsea-Tottenham itself, the North London derby, well known worldwide for how big of a rivalry it is, okay? Bro, we had a title race of a derby, bro. We had Man City and Man United going head-to-head, and the league title got decided on goal difference, bro.
A derby is all about the fans and the atmosphere.
I promise you, when Emre Can plays against Schalke, he don't know what he's doing over there, bro. I promise you, it's about the players as well. But certain players, they understand the rivalries, okay? When for example, you had certain Everton players that would play against Liverpool. Duncan Ferguson, bro, he would go out to that pitch here. He would risk his life to play in that game. The Etihad barely produces any noise, but when Man United come to town, they find their voices, bro. I'm telling you.
Is that bigger than the Milan derby though?
Bro, them man share a stadium, bro. That ain't no big derby, man.
The Milan Inter derby, bro, the stadium has to get basically knock down because of like all the infrastructure. Because bro, there's earthquakes every single time. It's unbelievable.
Decide down below who has the greater derby. The Premier League is the hardest club trophy to win. Let's start with the Premier League fans.
If you want to go back even to the mid-2000s when we were winning it and Chelsea were winning it, we were competing against the likes of Arsenal, who had a two-man step with Fabregas and Van Persie, Liverpool with Gerrard and Torres, Chelsea had the Drogba and Lampard. We were competing against a lot of difficult teams, but you would also argue that the mid-table sides weren't as strong. You fast forward now to this present day and age, there genuinely is not an easy Premier League game. Arsenal right now are top of the Premier League. Wolves came to the Emirates. Wolves are supposedly one of the worst Premier League teams to ever exist, and that game had to be won by a last-minute own goal. There is not a single game in the Premier League calendar you can tick off as a comfortable win. And I guarantee you, in every single one of your leagues, especially your league, you play any team at home. Every time I check my phone, it's 5-0 in the first 40 minutes, bro. There's games in your calendars that I reckon are comfortable wins. You can write them off. In the Premier League, whether it's home or away, there is genuinely not a single game that you can tick off as an easy game. So that's why the Premier League is so hard, because you have 38 games where you have to show the consistency. And by the way, that's me talking about the lesser teams. But like I said, you're competing against the Man City, the Liverpools, the Chelseas, and all these top clubs as well. Whilst also competing in other competitions, Premier League's by far the most difficult competition to win.
Which team won the Premier League in the last 6 years? So which team? So Man City?
Yeah, and Liverpool.
In the Serie, we had 5 different winners in the last 5 years.
City won it how many times in a row?
4 in a row.
Four in a row.
We've lost it with 99 and 92 points respectively. I don't know if any other league can create a team that can get that level of points and still not win.
But it's the same teams, isn't
Even
it?
hit
It's the same
100
teams
points in
all
their
over
league.
again. With the Prem, for example, like you can have obviously like Villa coming up, then you had the Leicester 2015. So it's just every now and then, because every time you do have those bogey teams that come up but then don't win it, right? Like Arsenal. But
That wasn't that funny.
if you look at the beginning of the, so like in the first 10 games in the Serie A, so the 38th game week, it's completely different. It turns out completely different. But in the Premier League, it's always Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal.
What was the record? How many times did Sir Alex Ferguson win a Premier League in a row?
He won 3.
3 in a row, yeah? How many times did Pep Guardiola win? 4 in a row. Have a Premier League team ever done that in the Champions League?
In the 3 years that Real Madrid won it in a row, how many times did they win the league title?
Only once.
Only once, okay? So that clearly shows over a 38-game season, you have to show much more consistency. In the Champions League, you could lose a game and you can make it back in the second leg. It's a knockout competition, bro. Spurs were not doing so great, and Spurs could make it to Champions League final, because knockout football, anything can happen. It's all about the moment itself. In the Champions League, you can afford slip-ups. In the Premier League, they have shown you cannot afford slip-ups.
In the Champions League, if you lose, are you not eliminated from the tournament?
That's what I'm saying.
No,
we
you're not
lost
eliminated from the tournament.
3-0 to Barcelona and then won the tournament.
Hold on, wait. But hold on. In the Premier League, are you not allowed to lose multiple games?
You can lose multiple games.
I literally just said it. Manchester United, the team you support, were terrible this whole entire season. Grimsby Town eliminated them. Brighton eliminated them. Somehow, they were 14th in the Premier League. And somehow, 4 games in a row, they're top 4 in the Champions League. And they're very close to 3rd and 2nd.
Yeah, and thank you so much, because you put it on an absolute plate for me. That just quite shows you how valuable 3 points are in the Premier League. You win 2-3 games in the Premier League and it changes your life, bro. So thank you for the layup, and I've scored the basket. Now end the conversation, please, bro.
Comment down below, is the Premier League the hardest club competition? No other league could touch the Premier League's greatest managers.
All these managers that have won a Premier League, Pep Guardiola, Antonio Conte, Jurgen Klopp, all over these recent years, they came from other leagues. They were made there. So you cannot classify them as Premier League managers. They are our managers coming to your leagues.
Because they made history and they did their thing in the Premier League.
And their longest tenure have been at Premier League.
Thank you very much.
But then this is a stupid question because literally every manager that is managing Premier Leagues, managing La Liga, managing Bundesliga, managing Serie.
So why did they all come to us?
Pep Guardiola's time at Barcelona is better than his time at Manchester City. Jose Mourinho, more iconic moment at Porto. Inter Milan won a treble there. Real Madrid.
And we're gonna disregard what he did at Chelsea as well. What he did at Chelsea. 15 goals conceded.
You guys don't have a Mr. La Liga, a Mr. Serie A, a Mr. Bundesliga. We've got a Mr. Premier League. So Alex Ferguson was in the. Sir Alex Ferguson was there from the start of the Premier League.
9 Series in a row, and he won league titles with 3 different teams.
Juventus got relegated. He brought them back up, and he won 9 Serie A's in a row.
Guess what? He came over to the Premier League and is regarded as one of the best managers in the Premier League as well.
That just shows how bad you guys are. That just shows how bad you guys are.
I'm gonna ask the Premier League side. How many great Premier League managers can you guys name?
Ferguson,
Pep,
Jose Mourinho,
Benitez,
Antonio Conte, Louis van Gaal is one of them as well.
Louis van Gaal winning a Europa League.
Wait, can I confirm? You mentioned Louis van Gaal before Arsene Wenger. Is that what?
No, we mentioned Arsene Wenger. Carlo Ancelotti as well. Unai Emery.
Can you name me some of yours in all your league?
Pep Guardiola, Jose Mourinho, Carlo Ancelotti, Luis Enrique, Johan Cruyff.
Massimiliano Allegri, Antonio Conte, Luciano Spalletti, Inzaghi.
We have Jupp Heynckes, we have Louis van Gaal also at Bayern Munich. Then Klopp was at Borussia Dortmund, Tuchel was at Bayern Munich.
Hansi Flick, sextuple winner, soon to be a treble winner.
The Premier League haters have named double of the managers of the Premier League. Comment down below your thoughts. The Premier League identity is worse than other leagues.
So tell me, what's your identity?
Money!
How much did you buy Felipe Coutinho from us for?
140 million.
Now we've got that out the way. Our legacy is a few different things. I think obviously it's moments like iconic rivalries, great managers, talents. The last 13 or so years we've had 5 different Premier League winners. I don't think the Bundesliga can boast that. I don't think La Liga boasts that either. From the lack of Leicester's underdog stories, you've had United, City, Liverpool, Chelsea all win Premier Leagues. Arguably the best team in the last 3-4 years hasn't won it yet, and that's been Arsenal. So we're going at, again, these top clubs that are sharing the wealth around. You talk about the type of talents and imports we've had. The Rooneys, you've spoken about the Gerrards, the class of 92. You could go Michael Owen, who's won a Ballon d'Or as well. There's Henry, you wouldn't call him, we've bought him for a lot of money, but arguably his most famous time was, again, in England.
For all 3 of you, I'll give you a quick summarization on your identity. Your identity is give me Hoffenheim to 5-0 every week.
That's not identity. That's not identity.
For Barcelona, especially in Messi's tenure, it was give me Osasuna or Real Valladolid or I retire. These lot over here, they're literally most known for, right, you have this manager this season, we'll give it to you guys next season.
Oh wait, is it my turn? Is it my turn to have him? You talked about give Messi Osasuna. He got Manchester United's backside slapped them in 2 different Champions League finals against Sir Alex Ferguson, your greatest manager of all time.
That is true.
The greatest team of Premier League's history.
In my opinion, identity is you have to look your fans in your eyes and you have to say, oh, we did it very well. And in the Bundesliga, we have the 50+1 rule. So the club is owned by the majority to the fans. So at least 51% is owned to the fans, and they made a profit. Every season, Bayern Munich gets, for example, they made every season profit. And what about you guys?
Talk about your Glazers. They bought your club. They're taking money out of your club.
What about you just sold yours to Spotify to make rent, bro?
Everyone sees Premier League as this money-making machine. That's your identity. When you talk about Bundesliga, you're talking about the fan culture. When you're talking about La Liga's identity, you've got the tactics, you've got the beautiful football. When you're talking about Serie A, you're talking about the defensive structure, all this identity stuff, ultras. We all have ultras. Look at all
When you hear about the Premier League, it's all about,
who's got the most money?
I have a club that represents the Bundesliga perfectly. So Heidenheim. Heidenheim has been 18 years ago. They had been in the 6th tier of the German league, and now they are in the 1st tier. Frank Schmidt is the coach of Heidenheim 18 years since they were in the 6th league. And now they're in the 1st league and he's still the coach.
You mentioned the Heidenheim stuff. We've seen it in England, bro. Eddie Howe done it with Bournemouth, all those things. We are the best league in the world. We play the most physical, fast-paced football in the world. We are the most dominant league in the world. Your managers want to come to us. Your players want to come to us. And even your fans support teams in our league, bro.
What is identity? Fans supporting, everything like that, yeah? In these people's countries, yeah, every single one of them, there are hundreds and thousands of people repping our shirts. Liverpool, Man United, Aston Villa fans, bro. That is identity.
I see the West Ham fans. West Ham
fans. How is that not identity?
When we lose games, you never hear fans going, oh well, it is what it is, or our club is You lot are on each other every single time, and I hear it as a Napoli fan, as a foreigner. I hear it every single week. Oh wait. It's like, what kind of fan are you?
That's what you do when you kind of love your club. I can say Liverpool rubbish, whatever. Let a Man United fan say Liverpool rubbish. Oh, you wish get on my face. It's what you do. Like, you can insult your little brother or your brother, but someone else wants to get on them. So that's part of loving your club. You're gonna have that affair when there is that infatuation, love, and the standards we have.
Comment down below: is the Premier League identity worse than the other league?